All right, so Reedy Creek gets renamed. And what I saw here was amazing. What I've seen on this Reedy Creek issue is amazing. I have no idea why people on the right are getting triggered by this. So I have seen more people on the right triggered by the Disney board getting dissolved than others. How are people on the right simping for Disney? And the answer is, and I'll tell you this as somebody who worked in Florida, who worked in Central Florida. Disney in the past bought off people on the right and on the left. They used to do that. And a lot of those folks want those Disney bucks. They're going to say, oh, I'm MAGA, I'm Trump, I'm this, but they were getting the Disney bucks. They want that money. So they are bought and paid for by Disney. So make no mistake, a lot of these people bitching about it have connections to Disney. They're tied into Disney. They've been snorting that pixie dust. Yeah, they used to own Florida. I think they're losing that control now. But let me get into the comments because I see people reacting like this. And this is people that are, on the right. For example, let me go through this Twitter thread here. This is an example, just an example, but we're going to go through how regular people are flipping out about this and state senators are flipping out about this. So this is from blogvicky.com. State takeover of Reedy Creek Improvement District passes Florida Senate. This is on February 11th. So look at the reaction. Adam, this literally sounds like communism. I can't believe this is happening in America. Florida wants to become China. See, here's the thing. Maybe this sounds bad. They're just reacting without knowing. And I get it. But what they don't understand is that there are 1,700 special districts in Florida, most of which are controlled by a government or appointed by a government or elected officials who are from that area. But most of them have some government interface or oversight or control. Reedy Creek was an exception. It should not be the rule. So already going there, David coming back saying it's a restoration of jurisdiction. The government of the state of Florida taking over the control of Walt Disney Company would be communism. The board of supervisors to be picked by the governor and confirmed by the Senate. Board of supervisors cannot work for a theme park. They've seized control of their backside in Florida. No, they have not. First of all, Reedy Creek is supposed to be the public side of, it's supposed to be the public side. The public side. We're talking about roads. We're talking about pavement. We're talking about mass transit. We're talking about stormwater. We're talking about conservation land. They're supposed to be doing, Reedy Creek is supposed to be doing the public shit. It's not supposed to be an extension of their corporate entity. That's literally illegal. And by the way, the IRS should have audited Disney decades ago. We're going to get into that. The IRS at the highest level has been giving Disney a pass for decades. I was holding back on this part, but the IRS should have audited Disney years ago and found this was just a puppet. Let me do this here. Meredith G says, Barnes claims that DeSantis wimped out because there will still be tax breaks and claims in the Hollywood Reporter Act. I'm trying to reconcile this. Okay, I love Robert Barnes. Let me tell you this. Robert Barnes is right. And by the way, we need to get back into agreeing with people more than disagreeing. And Robert is a good guy. I love him. I'll collaborate with him. But frankly, to be completely honest with Robert, this is not his area of expertise. He is not a Florida attorney. He's not done this. This is my specific area of expertise. So I'm in this one specific area, I'm going to say very specifically to this, Robert doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Because all these other districts are still getting tax breaks. How do I know? Because I did them. I got them tax breaks. They're getting special deals with the local governments. They're getting expedited processing of their permitting, of their zoning, all this shit. They're getting things done for them. Companies are getting things done for them regularly that are similar to what the benefits Disney is getting in this case. He doesn't know Florida. He doesn't know Florida land development. That's just how it works. It's what I did. I love Robert. He's fucking wrong, though. He's wrong on this. Who else says, Leslie says, not for a shot, just because I like you. Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate you. IFID said, yes, you and Radix are the most base people ever. Yeah, shout out to Christina. She does not get enough love. Go out and support Radix Verum. She's getting censored and hit on multiple levels. She is great and always been behind me. So appreciate that. I have the inside info because I did this shit. Brandon says, shots fired. Oh, no. I see it. I'll cue it up in a second. I got you, Brandon. You know I'm good for the shot. I'm not the type of guy who skimps out. My name is not Joe Neerman. Okay? And I pour these pretty full. Let me just say. Adam says, there's not a single company in Florida that has more power now over Disney. That's not true. There's plenty of other corporations, entities that also are highly controlled by the state. Straight up what happens in China. Nope, China's far worse. But Disney is headquartered in California. The state of Florida only gains control over RCID. They are run by Disney. They approve the permitting for the parks. They upkeep the market. Well, they used to. That's going to change. It's going to go to the county. They upkeep the property. They return the maintenance. That's true for many special districts. There's nothing different there. And, once again, going back to this is how communists were able to captivate. I'm beginning to understand. So just going back to calling it communism. And where do they get this from? Well, they get this from people like MAGA Republicans, like Anthony Sabatini. So let's talk about Anthony right now. I'm not following Anthony. I probably should follow Anthony, but let's talk about Anthony real quick. Anthony is the chairman of the Lake County GOP. He's an attorney. Look at this. He's a fucking attorney. He has his own law firm. He doesn't practice this area of law, though. He calls himself an America First Republican, a MAGA Republican. He's a vet. He went to UF, and he got his JD. Look at that shit. By the way, I got my JD before him at UF. So this guy, I would agree with Anthony on most issues. Look, like this tweet. I like this tweet. Look at this. I'm going to like this tweet right now. It's a good tweet. James O'Keefe for VP. I'm down. Shit talking on Representative Anna Escami. I agree with that. I'm down. Right? Like talking about them being tone deaf. Okay, sure. I'm down. Right? Kevin McCarthy being an absolute cuck over Jan 6. I'm down. But here's where he fucks up. And this is the thing. I agree with so much this guy has to say. But here's where he fucks up. Over here, talking about the Disney bill. So, Republican, Lake County. This is Lake County, Florida. He fucks up talking about the bill. And this is, once again, an issue I disagree with him. I like most of his stuff. I think most of his comments are fine. They're great. But he's wrong here. So the Disney bill is saying the Disney bill is weak and still allows Disney to have exemption from sales tax and property tax. So let me debunk these. Guys, I'm going through and debunking these arguments piece by piece, live, while I'm drinking. By the way, Brandon, Senpai notices you. Here's the shot here. I can explain this shit while drinking. It's not a problem. So cheers to explaining, see this nice, voluminous shot here. So the exemption from sales tax and property tax, that is true of any, and I mean any, special district. It's true for any of them. Every single one of them. They're exempt from sales tax and property tax. And That's true of all 1,700. So saying that it still allows them to be exempt, that's nothing different than any other special district, including ones within his own district, ones within Lake County. So this guy, Anthony, is the representative of Lake County. Tax-free bonds. Every special district in government issues tax-free bonds. By the way, as a person who's issued tax-free bonds, I can tell you right now, tax-free bonds are a grift. By the way, I did spill a tiny amount, but it was just a tiny amount. It's good. The keyboard is forward. You guys can't see. It was on the table, the forward part of the table. I've learned. But tax-free bonds are something that's issued by your city, your county, your state. And a lot of times they're fucking suspect. I'm not going to lie. As a person who worked on these, I have worked on bonds where I'm like, this is some sketchy shit we're funding right here. It's legal, but it's still sketchy. For example, tax-free bonds have gone towards performing arts centers. Now you might ask yourself, oh, well, isn't that public? Because it's like something for everybody. Well, no, a performing arts center sells tickets. You need to buy a ticket. What type of people buy performing arts center? Usually they're usually wealthy, middle to upper class. By the way, usually they're left, but sometimes they're on the right. Sometimes there's cool things to watch there. But that is something that is funded routinely by tax-free bonds. But they make money. It's not a community good. You can't use it for free. Brandon says, well, I'm going to push back on the tax-free bonds of GO. Okay, so let me explain what Brandon is saying right now, because Brandon actually knows what the fuck he's talking about. The site trying to like feed me shots till I die here. He does know what he's talking about when it comes to some financing. There's two types of bonds. There's general obligation bonds and revenue bonds. This is kind of a law school class. So I'll go full screen on myself for the law school class. So there's two types of bonds, general obligation bonds and revenue bonds. General obligation bonds, you are promising the specific revenue of the entire county, literally the taxing power of the entire county. So if you fail on those, the entire county is on the line, versus a revenue bond, which only pledges specific revenue of a specific area, geographic area, or a specific thing, like a toll road. Like, for example, a toll road, the Florida Turnpike, for example, if those who are in Florida have driven on the Florida Turnpike, that was funded by a revenue bond. Most of these things, like Disney's bonds, are revenue bonds. They're not GO bonds. They're not general obligation bonds. They're very specific revenue bonds promising a very specific revenue stream. It is boring, but listen, this is important because these guys are fucking lying about it. And saying they have expedited permitting, most companies have that. So saying there are no other companies in Florida with these privileges is an absolute lie. It's absolute bullshit. And there's nothing to be embarrassed about this bill. In fact, and I'll show you this real quick, Lake County, his county, remember, he represents Lake County. So let's go back up here. He represents Lake County, Florida. Lake County, within Lake County, has two special districts entirely controlled by the county. So the county controls these governments entirely. So when he says, this doesn't exist, look at your own county, bro. Look at your own county. And what's even worse is, if you look at the official list of special districts, which you can look up, you can Google this, you find, and Meredith called it out. Meredith said it right here. Shout out, extra points for Meredith. Lake County has the villages. Thank you, Meredith. Calling it out right now. The villages. And now some of you may say, why is that relevant? Why is the villages relevant? Well, I know that some of you may think the villages is just the #1 source of syphilis in the United States. By the way, it was the highest rate of STD acquisition in terms of speed for several years. Also, the fastest growing municipality was the villages. It is a retirement community. They also have an insane amount of swingers. But the Villages is relevant because the Villages is in his county. This is a list. This is a PDF of all of them. Every single district in Lake County. Guess what? There's 47 of them. 47 in his own district, including Village Center. This is the main special district for the Villages. And it is entirely, this special district is entirely controlled by a company. It is 100% controlled by a company. And here's the thing. Back in the day, in 2013, the IRS ruled that the Villages was not actually a legal political subdivision. Was actually, when you look at their ruling, that they do not meet the definition of a political subdivision. That they do not meet the definition of a government, and they are not determined to have local powers. Why? Because they're controlled by one company. Right here, the entity that is organized and operated in a manner intended to perpetuate private control and to avoid indefinitely responsibility to the public electorate cannot be a public political subdivision of the state. So right here, they say, the IRS says that the Villages was not an actual real government. And here's my point. People say, Andrew, what's the fucking point? Why are you rambling about the Villages? Why are you bringing up a random IRS memorandum? It's because the IRS should have cracked down on Disney ages ago. It's only because of Disney favoritism and because they turned a blind eye that Disney was able to get away with this bullshit for so long. The fact that it is being fixed is something that should be applauded. And Republicans that don't understand it should do a better job of getting educated on the issue of the real issue before they actually open their mouth and complain about it. So that's my take on that.